So I recently watched this movie called Late Night with the Devil. It's a horror movie, came out in 2023, and it stars David Dastmalchian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he's shown up in a bunch of movies, Dark Knight, he was in Suicide Squad, things like that, but has never really had like a huge moment, was never a leading actor in anything. And it caught my eye because I thought that the him being like the main star of the show would be interesting, so I always found him like to be an interesting actor. A lot of the roles he takes are kind of weird, off the beaten path type of characters, and I was curious to see what he could do as, you know, the leading man in a movie, albeit, you know, a small movie. And this movie, Late Night with the Devil, it's a horror movie, and basically takes place in the 70s, where late night television was sort of, you know, at its peak. People were competing for all the best slots. It was a very competitive atmosphere, and it follows the man called Jack Delroy, and he pretty much is a late night TV host who kind of is falling down in the ratings, right? He's a well-meaning man, but sort of his life's work is starting to fall apart in front of his eyes. And so he basically implies to sort of, you know, some tragedies befall him, things like that. And he has all of his ratings basically relying on this one night, this one episode, this one airing that hopefully will bring him back from the brink and make him, you know, the late night television host. Unfortunately, this comes with a few caveats. He pretty much starts messing with powers beyond his understanding, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets pretty crazy. There's a lot of demonic entities involved and a lot of just bad vibes, ghosts, the whole nine yards. But really, it's this like late night television setting, I think, that really sets this movie apart from its contemporaries. I find it to be so creative and so interesting, and I couldn't really, it was so immersive. I couldn't pull myself away from the TV screen. It's shot in this like 4:3 aspect ratio, which, you know, I'm not too sure on like media and things like that, but I believe that was the format before we got widescreen television. So it gives you that really immersive feeling, like we really are watching a live broadcast of this really deeply disturbing late night show that was caught on television, caught on tape. And it cuts when the commercials come, it cuts to like a behind the scenes view in black and white, and gives you like insight into sort of what's going on with these characters that are witnessing something so horrendous, so disturbing live in this studio. And I think the setting is so creative. The actresses, the actors, they really also sell it really well. A lot of the performances really just pull you into sort of the disturbing things that these characters are seeing on screen. You know, people are getting scared. People are getting like, you know, just more and more unnerved by what they're witnessing. People are walking off the set, things like that. But that's only happening behind the scenes, which I think is really interesting, because when they cut to sort of the, you know, things that are being recorded for the live audience, they have to put on this persona, but you know what's going on behind the scenes as a viewer, and it really transports you into that position as a viewer yourself. It makes you feel like you're there with this live audience, with these actors and actresses, witnessing what's happening before your eyes, with them. And the main performance by David Dastmalchian in this, I would say, was phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. I think he does prove himself to be a really compelling leading actor in this movie. He plays this role with an earnest like innocence, sort of not understanding that he's in over his head with a lot of the things that he's like unknowingly unleashed upon himself and those around him. The supporting actor, I think his name is Haig. Who is that played by? That's played by Ian Bliss. Carmichael Haig, yeah, he absolutely kills it, steals the show. I loved his performance so much. He plays sort of the skeptic that sort of carries the audience, the skeptic part of the audience with him. He acts as sort of the mouthpiece for people who are, you know, skeptical of like what they're witnessing and things like that. And the performance by Gus, his sort of right hand man, was also amazing. I find that the ending was really, really good. I think a lot of people complain about it online that the ending was sort of, was not good or kind of just took the air out of the whole thing. But I disagree with that, honestly. I found the ending to be quaint and like poetic in a lot of ways. No spoilers, but pretty much, things are wrapped up pretty neatly, and I like the bittersweetness of it. It ends on a pretty somber note. Um, Jack Delroy does get his ratings, but at what cost? So all in all, I think this is actually one of the most creative horror movies I've seen in a long time. I think it's a big moment for David Desmalchian. And I'm very excited to see what these directors, producers, and sort of what David decides to do going forward, because I think he brings a lot to the table. And this was a really, really enjoyable watch. It was really creative, really immersive. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I really did enjoy this movie. I think I highly recommend anyone who's a horror buff or anyone who's into this sort of, immersive, creative 70s, whatever horror type movie. I would definitely check it out.